Hello again. This is my Lexis advanced lecture on conducting legal searches. It's by way of review of stuff that you may know and some stuff that you may not know. So let's get started. I want you to be with me on your computer doing what I am doing. I want you to go to your home page, Lexis Advanced, and I'm just going to review for you some of the features that Lexis has for searching. We are going to conduct a search together regarding the elements of assault and battery. I would like you to do that with me so that we can go through the features of searching. Okay? Okay, the first thing we have here is the search bar. This is where it all happens, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we start all of our searches. We can type in statutes. We can type in names of cases. We can type in legal citations in this search bar, and it will bring us the results of those searches. Okay, so that's the search bar. The rest of the boxes here narrow your searches down further. So if the boss wants us to find a case as opposed to a law review article or a statute or something else, we click here. We can click on cases, and now our search is narrowed down to cases. If we are in Massachusetts and a local law firm practicing in state court, in Massachusetts state courts, our boss may be asking us to limit our searches to state court cases in Massachusetts as opposed to federal court cases in Massachusetts. So we can do that here. Let's do that. Let's come down here and find Massachusetts. Let's check on Massachusetts. You will now note that we have a filter for Massachusetts. So now anything we type in here, anything we put in the search bar now will result in cases as opposed to periodicals or journals from within the state of Massachusetts, and they will be state court cases, not federal court cases. Because remember, Massachusetts has a Massachusetts federal court. But we are not interested in that. We are interested in Massachusetts State Court. Okay? And you can also narrow down your search by practice area. I just noticed that myself. I don't use it that often, but it is a good idea to narrow it down. If you're working like me for a law firm or the DA's office, I should say, an organization that specializes in criminal law, you can just go down here and you can find criminal law and procedure, which is right here. Okay? So now you have a search that's narrowed down to finding cases within Massachusetts, the state court cases, and all those cases are going to do with criminal law and procedure. No matter what you type in here, that's what you're going to get. Okay. All right. So carrying on with our hypothetical exercise here, let's say that our boss is a local practitioner in Massachusetts. He asks us to find the elements of assault and battery. He wants us to find a recent state court case that defines what assault and battery is and what the government has to prove assault and battery. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do this. I just want to show you what happens here. You see it says remember filters. You should have that checked. Right. If you've been following along with me here, I want you to clear your filters. Those are your filters right there. You can either X them out like this or you can hit clear over here. Okay. All right. So we're going to go back to, well, we're still on cases. Okay. So now we're back to a blank palette. I just want to give you an example of what happens. So if we type in, let's try to find out what the elements of assault and battery are. Let's type in assault and BATTERY. Let's put that in quotations. Why do we do that? That keeps the phrase together so that the searches will result in assault and battery. Otherwise, we could come back with searches that have assault on one page and battery on the next page. So we want to keep the phrase together with the quotation marks. We want to know what the elements of assault and battery are, or the definition. So here's the way we can do that. We can hit WS, that means within the sentence, within the same sentence as elements. Okay, this would result in a search. The search results will give us cases where assault and battery occurs within the same sentence as elements. We could also put or definition. What does that do? That will give us searches where either elements or the word definition appears within the same sentence as assault and battery, because elements and definition are essentially the same thing. We're looking for the same thing. Okay, so for purposes of this exercise, I just want you to keep it like that. Assault and battery, WS elements within the same sentence. Hit enter or search, and you will see that we have over 4,000 cases. Why is that? That's because we cleared our filters and we searched everything, right? So we want to narrow it down. I just want to show you that. We already did it. We can narrow this down to what's already narrowed down to cases. We can next narrow this down to Massachusetts. We narrow this down to criminal law and procedure. Excuse me. And we hit search. Okay, now we are down to 507 cases where assault and battery occurs within elements. This may be good. We may be able to use this. We may stumble upon the correct case right away, but maybe we want to narrow it down a little further. Remember, the boss did say he wants a recent case, and these cases go back to the beginning of Massachusetts law. So they go, well, this one here, this appeals court cases from 1972, and SJC, Supreme Judicial Court cases from God knows when, way back when. Okay, so anyway, so next we want to narrow this down a little further. Okay, let's look at this side here. This side of the page allows us to narrow our searches down even more. Okay, you know that we've selected Massachusetts as our courts, right? But we can narrow it even further down within Massachusetts. So let's click here on the court icon here, and you'll notice that it says Massachusetts. And let's click on the plus icon here. And this tells us that the search is giving us results from the Supreme Judicial Court, the Massachusetts Court of Appeals, and the Massachusetts Superior Court. Well, I can tell you that Superior Court cases are not legal precedent. They are not binding legal precedent. These are just trial court judges who are issuing decisions, and they sometimes get their decisions published by the publishers. They just ask them to be published, but they are worth the paper that they are written on, or the pixels that they appear in on the computer. So let's get rid of Superior Court cases. Nobody is interested in citing Superior Court cases. Just trust me on that, and your lawyer should tell you that. Okay, so that gets rid of 25 cases. We're narrowing it down some more. We're down to 482. Now your boss said he wants recent cases, right? So we can narrow it down by timeline. Let's find cases within the last 5 years. All right, so we can just click on timeline here, and you can see we can move this little arrow thingy here to move the cases up to the correct time period. Let's type in 112015. That's 2015. And then let's type in today's date is 9/9/2020. Okay. So now we have got rid of the Superior Court cases, right? We've got the last 5 years. Okay. How else can we limit this? Let me see here. Publication status. All right. Sources. Let me see. Sources. Okay, that's fine. I guess that's probably about it. We could do publication status. Unreported. We don't need unreported cases. They're not binding either. Okay. So let's just click on that. All right. So now we've got these several filters. So the filters now tell us we are getting results for the Mass Supreme Judicial Court, the Mass Court of Appeals. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. All right, get rid of unreported cases. Okay. And we are getting only reported cases, not unreported cases. And we are getting only criminal law and procedure cases, correct? Now we hit search. Or maybe it's already narrowed it down. I'm not sure. It's 418. No. Okay, so we're coming up with 507. That's because this program makes us go back for some reason and wait a minute. Sorry. Yeah, the filters didn't stick here. I don't know why that happened, but so let's do it again. I'm going back to the timeline here, and I'm putting in the timeline, which is what is it? 112015. Okay, all right. The last 5 years. Okay, so now that gives us the last 5 years. Okay, um, Massachusetts cases, the last 5 years. These are criminal law and procedure cases. So we're down to 137. That's still a lot. Maybe we can find what we're looking for here. This talks about assault and battery. Assault and battery cause serious bodily injury. Doesn't seem to be the thing. This says assault and battery. You'll notice here it has assault and battery. It's within the same, well, sort of within the same sentence. It's within a close proximity to elements. Okay. So another way to narrow our searches down even further is maybe the problem here with our results is maybe the elements is occurring too far away from assault and battery. It's within the same sentence, but we can make it closer. How can we do that? We can change it to W, for example, 3. What does W3 mean? That means within 3 words of elements. So that if we do this search, assault and battery, that term will appear in all cases where it's within 3 words of elements. So they're very close together. So there's a higher likelihood that the court will be talking about what the elements of assault and battery are. So we can do that now. And again, for some reason, you'll notice that the timeline keeps disappearing, and I'm not sure exactly why that is, but apparently we have to go back to get the time filter because it just disappeared again. Our boss only wants us to have recent decisions. So we go back to timeline, keep changing that, keep doing 1/1/2015. Let's actually do 2/9/2020, September 9th, 2020. All right, so now we're going to get it assault and battery within 3 words of elements within the last 5 years, state court. Now we're coming up with 51 cases. Okay, that's good. All right, we see here it says assault and battery here, and then it says the element of indecency. They're talking about indecent assault and battery. We don't want that. And you're going to find that in this particular exercise, there are a lot of cases that are going to come up that are indecent assault and battery or assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. You're not getting the assault and battery definition necessarily right away. I just happen to know that's because assault and battery is a very minor crime that doesn't get into the cases that much. Usually the ones that are appealed are the cases where there's a larger felony and it's more an aggravated assault. Okay. Okay, here we said the Commonwealth established that the defendant was guilty of the lesser included offense of assault and battery, and then the judge instructed the jury on the elements of assault and battery. Okay, so here maybe something that we could look at because the judge told the jury what the elements of assault and battery were. Let's see if it appears in the case. We click on that highlighted stuff. It brings us right down, you can see, to the elements. And it says that the judge instructed the jury on the elements of assault and battery. He reiterated that the jury could consider assault and battery as a lesser included offense, so on and so forth. But if you read it right down, they don't really define assault and battery there. Okay? So this is just how we do our research. We just keep clicking on these cases, going back and forth to see if we can find what we're looking for. Kelly didn't seem to help. Let's go back. What's another way that we can come up with this. Another way to narrow down our search. We can go to most cited. That can be helpful oftentimes, okay? And it will tell you what the most cited case is that has elements within 3 words of assault and battery in it. And that often may be the key case, the one case method that you learned in school, or you may have learned in the books. That may be the one case that everybody talks about that it defines assault and battery. So they've got a list here. At the top is this one here. Let's see what this one here is. 881 Northeast 2nd, 792. Let's click on it. That appears to be Commonwealth versus Barrows. Okay. And then they say, okay, that this is a assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, to wit, a meat tenderizer. That's very interesting. There's some interesting dangerous weapons that are used. This one here says sufficient to establish elements of assault and battery. Okay, let's see what this talks about, this Quinlan one. Okay. Her testimony itself was sufficient. Okay, it doesn't really tell us. Okay. I want to bring to your attention another issue that's come up here. In your searches here, you also may come across unpublished opinions. We are generally, you can filter those out. I can show you how to do that. But for now, you just need to be careful if this is not filtered out. An unpublished opinion is just what it sounds like. It used to be in the old days when there were books, these opinions never made the legal books. But now with electronic research, nothing is unpublished. But they are not. These unpublished opinions are not persuasive authority. They are not they are not binding authority, and they don't have any precedential value. They could be cited for persuasive authority. So how do you know it's unpublished? It says it right there. Just know this, okay? If you hit a case, there's a big fat disclaimer here in bold print, okay? That tells you it is an unpublished decision. So if you're flying through research and you don't get your filters or whatever, and you see a good case that has good language in it, you just be warned. If you see that big capital letter print up on the top, it's an unpublished opinion. Doesn't mean you can't use it. It may be good. I use them, but you just have to put a notation that it is unpublished when you cite it in your memorandum. Okay. All right. So anyway, here's our list. So we can just go through here. How would we get rid of the publication unpublished? We'd go down here. We got reported. Okay, let me see sources. Okay, so this here. All right, I'm not sure why it's still appearing in here. This has happened to me before because this is unchecked. So anyway, so just be aware that they don't, for some reason, I can't filter these all out. But the point of this exercise is to show you that we are now down to 38 cases. We can scroll through these 38 cases. We don't have to read them all. We can just read these squibs here and then see if it looks interesting and just click on these squibs until we find a good case that has the definition of assault and battery. Okay. And yeah. Okay, I am almost concluded with this lecture. A couple of other features. That's your basic search. I want to point out to you that I am going to put up the script for this. And again, I did not follow this script verbatim by any means, but it's a good script and that you can follow along with it. You can do this on your own. If I went too fast for you, just read the typed script that I have up there and it will take you through this exercise. And you can get the feel for using this. Okay, now we're going to go back to the Lexis homepage. Here, Lexis Advance. So we can always clear our filters if we want to. By the way, this star here allows us to save this search to our favorites. If we click on this star, it will keep this search with all of its limitations and filters in the favorites. We could do that right there. And now it's saved, and then it's okay. Here in Massachusetts. It might be at the bottom there. Not sure. Okay. Anyway, a couple of other things. Here's the history. You could click on history. It gives you your search history. You can go down here and you can hit on view all history. This would be useful if you come back to a project and you don't remember what the search was, you want to enter the same search as you did before, and you can just go here. You can just scroll down to whatever day you were working last, and it has a list of all your searches and search terms. Here's one I did for my brief, and I'm going to be doing in the next exercise. I did a search for authentication within the same sentence as letter. Okay. I want to also just remind you, as far as search terms, this is important to know. You can search within the same sentence. You can search, as I said, within the same words, W2, W3, that means within 2 or 3 words. You can search within the same paragraph. Paragraph would be WP, within the same paragraph. You can do limiters. You can do, as I said, either or. Like I said, you could do a search for either elements or definition. You could do, I think that's about it as far as search limitations. So that's history. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk to you about in this lecture. I don't think so. We've got the more button. In the next lecture, I'm going to be talking to you about creating research files for every client or every case that you have, creating a research file for every project that I give you. This allows you to keep a file within Lexis on the Lexis platform and put all of your research there. I'll also be talking about some other useful things like cutting and pasting from Lexis into your legal document, which saves a huge amount of time when you are writing a legal document. Trust me. Okay, so I'm at 21 minutes. Now that you're sufficiently exhilarated by my dynamic and forceful presentation, I'm going to conclude here.